In other global news, Iran's foreign minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian has said that the Beirut strike that killed Hamas's deputy leader proved that Israel has not achieved any of its goals. A few hours after those remarks, blasts in Soleimani's hometown of Kerman in Iran that tore through crowds gathered to honor the slain commander. And their fears that Israel's war in Gaza could spiral across West Asia, and the world is voicing concern at the moment. Well, twin explosions ripped through an Iranian crowd on Wednesday, claiming at least 103 lives, following a strike in Lebanon that killed Hamas's deputy leader. More than 200 other people were wounded. The blast, about 15 minutes apart, struck mourners commemorating the slain Revolutionary Guard's General Qassem Soleimani. It was the 4th anniversary of his killing in a US drone strike. Iran declared on Thursday a day of mourning. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei blamed evil and criminal enemies of the Iranian nation. He said, and I'm quoting him here, "This disaster will have a harsh response, God willing." Here's what Raisi said. Take a listen.
You're not strong enough to face the resistance. Your power has lost its effectiveness against the forces of resistance. Now you're targeting innocent people. Know that you will pay a heavy price for this horrible crime.
Reports suggest that the blast marked Iran's deadliest attack since a 1978 arson case that killed at least 377 people. State-run TV labeled the blast a terrorist attack. President Raisi cancelled a visit to Turkey on Thursday. And dubbing the events painful, Saudi Arabia expressed condolences, sympathy and solidarity with Iran. Now remember, Riyadh reconciled with Tehran last year after a 7-year diplomatic rupture. Washington also expressed sympathy to the victims and their loved ones. While calling any suggestion of US involvement, spokesperson Matthew Miller said, "We have no reason to believe that Israel was involved in this explosion."
We do express our sympathies to the victims and their loved ones who died in this horrific explosion. As I said, it's too early, at least for us, to be able to say what might have caused it. But I do want to address some of the irresponsible claims that I have seen circulate and say that, number one, the United States was not involved in any way, and any suggestion to the contrary is ridiculous. And number two, we have no reason to believe that Israel was involved in this explosion.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is set to depart for West Asia, including a stop in Israel, as Washington continues diplomatic consultations on the Israel-Hamas war. Israeli military spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari did not comment when asked about the Iran blasts. He said, and I'm quoting him here, "We are ready on all fronts." Now, the Iran blast, it comes with regional tensions which are already increasing. That is the day after the Beirut strike, which killed Hamas number 2, Saleh al-Aruri. Following Tuesday's unclaimed Beirut attack, the Israeli army spokesperson said that the military was highly prepared for any scenario. Now, Israel and Iran have long been bitter enemies, and violence involving Iran-backed groups in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria and Yemen, that has spiked during the Gaza war. There have been repeated deadly exchanges of fire across the Lebanon-Israel border and attacks on shipping in the Red Sea area, which is extremely important for global trade. US-led coalition forces in Iraq and Syria have also been targeted. More intense, wider warfare has so far been avoided, but the Iran blasts rattled global markets, sending oil prices up by more than 3%. Hezbollah has vowed the killing of Aruri and 6 other Hamas operatives, and that would not go unpunished or unanswered. The Islamist group labeled it a serious assault on Lebanon and a dangerous development in the ongoing war. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah warned Israel against an all-out war on the country to its north. But in a televised speech, he also said that Israel has sent messages that it was settling scores with Hamas leaders and did not intend to target Lebanon or Hezbollah. Following the Hamas leader Aruri's killing, Germany warned its citizens to leave Lebanon quickly. Berlin warned further worsening of the situation and expansion of the war cannot be ruled out. Meanwhile, the European Union Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell warned that the strike that killed Aruri was an additional factor that can cause an escalation of the war. He also urged the world to impose solution on the Israel-Palestinian conflict.
I believe that what we have learned from these 30 years and what we are learning now with the tragedy unfolding in Gaza is that the solution has to be imposed from the outside, from an international community that includes the United States, Europeans or Arabs, because the two parties will never be able to reach an agreement on their own.
Partes nunca serán capaces de llegar a un acuerdo.